Now, the French government says it wants to attract more foreign students to the country's universities. However, it is also increasing the fees of anyone from outside the EU who wants to study in France. They would go up from around €170 a year for a degree course, for example, to over €2,700 a year for that same study. The Prime Minister says it's still a small fraction compared to other countries, but a number of French universities say they're outraged and won't comply. Well, one of those universities is Toulouse's Jaurès, and its president Emmanuelle Garnier joins us now. Ms. Garnier, your university, one of those against charging foreign students more money. Why?
Yes, you're right. We decided not to listen to what they were expecting from us. In fact, because we consider that it's a really big change in our university. I mean, in France, in a general way. And it was really happened suddenly, and we did not have any time to think the way we would react, and this was the first problem. And then I must say that the French way of life, if I can say that, in the university is that we do not consider that education is a normal economic issue, you know. So our decision was not to adopt this reform, and it was possible. I mean, it's the government provide us the way not to.
You can be independent and step away, but you say it's a lovely ideal that education would be free for everyone, but it does have a cost.
Yes, it does. But I think we have to think very globally. And if we think that all the students that come from foreign countries to our country to study, then go back to their country or wherever, and they go back with our culture, with our language, with the knowledge of our history, our way of thinking, this is a big cost. I mean, it is. You
get paid back in kind with the promotion that it does.
And this is the way we consider it in a general way.
But when you look at the fees, I mean, currently very, very low, notably for Anglo-Saxons looking at the French fees. But, you know, the government argues, is it fair that, for example, a very wealthy American student would be paying the exact same as a poorer family here in France whose parents have worked here and paid taxes?
Mm-hmm. Okay, so I don't think that we can compare these two countries or these two areas. We have a really different system in France, of course, in Europe in a general way, but in France more than in other countries. And we are very proud of this system, and we really want to consider that the university is the place where people can grow. I mean, in speaking about education, and not the place where you can have I would say passports, then to go in a business way in your life.
In that financial way shouldn't be the way through. And a lot of the foreign students that come to France are from perhaps poorer African countries who come here and study. My question is, Toulouse is opting out of this proposal from the French government, but it is coming in other universities. Do you think this is going to impact a lot of people who are already midway through different degrees or master courses?
I don't know exactly. It's really difficult to answer because we don't know how it's going to be. The first thing I could say is that in next September, a big part of the university won't change the way they've
been working.
Yeah, they welcome foreign students because we decided a lot of university not to do it. But the year later, it's going to change, I guess.
When people have time to plan and adapt.
Yes, and we can't really know right now how it is going to be. In my own university, we want not to change
even in the long term.
Yeah, but it's quite difficult to be sure right now, because it depends on the way people are going to choose, how people who are in their countries now
with this
are
news.
going to decide. Maybe they will decide that if it's expensive, it's good. Or maybe they are going to think, okay, it's not expensive, so this is where I'm going to go. So we don't know how it's going to be.
Because briefly tell me, you know, the universities here in France got a much more independence from the state quite recently, in fact. I think it was when Nicolas Sarkozy was in office. But does it still get enough financing? Because we're often told that French universities are overcrowded, and also that there's a huge dropout rate of people who start university courses.
Sure. If we think about the financial situation of the university, which is really hard, you're right, actually. In fact, the way we decided not to change the fees won't change anything, because now we run without this money. So
it wouldn't be a welcome boost, though? Increase the number of teachers or resources?
We don't know. Already we don't know. So
where that money would go, that hasn't been made clear, perhaps.
Okay. Probably the government will change the way, but not this year. I mean, about these financial aspects.
Very finally, just can you give us an idea of what it's like for foreign students that come to French universities? Because that's one thing the French government said was the welcome needs to be improved.
Yeah, this is an important point, and we do agree with this. I mean, we want to be welcoming a university, you know, so to
What's the problem today?
Maybe, I don't know if there is a big problem. So we do have a welcome desk, for example, in our university, and it goes quite well, but we always can be better. And not only for the foreign students, for the students in a general way too. So we are working on it.
Okay, a lot of plans. We'll have to see how things play out. Well, thanks a lot for coming into studio and giving us some insight into this French university system. President Emmanuelle Garnier of the Toulouse University, Jaurès.